it is being reached to everyone. Those have missed this session, so they can find out in the IOSH website. The presentation will be available as well on the IOSH website, and this recording after the endorsement of the speaker. One more thing, that you will be granted a certificate whether you are a member or a non-member. However, we request you to please stay with us. The minimum requirement of this session is that you need to attend minimum 40 minutes the session, then you will be eligible for certifications. We request you to please be with us, be patient, and keep mute your mic. So now I would like to invite our speaker. We are very thankful to Mr. Shahzad. This is his second session with us. He was very constant with us. He's sparing his time, and on behalf of the IOSH and UAE committee, I'm thankful to him. We are all thankful to him that he is sparing a lot of time for us and giving us his precious time and bringing some great topic to us. So I would like to invite Mr. Shahzad. Shahzad, the platform is yours. Please start the presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chair. And first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Shahzad Ahmed. I'm a HEC trainer by profession, and I'm working currently with one of the oil and gas sector in the UAE. First of all, thank you for joining us here today. And I'm also thankful to the IOSH UAE for giving me this opportunity for the second time as a speaker. And today's topic, I'm sure all of you guys are aware of the topic. We have brought the topic for today's session is disaster preparedness and its management. However, we don't see such topics in the health and safety, but I think this is something which we really need to focus on. And let's go to the slide and let's see how it goes on. Once again, I would like to request you guys that please put your mic on mute. And in case, as the chair just cleared it, if you have any questions, so you can ask in the end of this presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. Just let me know, only one or two guys of you, that if you are able to see my screen. Okay, are you able to see my screen? Please, any one of you, just raise your hand.
Yes, Shahzad, it's okay. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so these are the contents of the training, but I'm not going to take time on it as we are going to start straight. Disaster. What comes in our mind when we hear the term disaster? It's a sudden occurrences, okay? And in easy way, you can call it natural. These are the, you can say that these are the huge loss to the life, to the property, to the environment. So whenever the disasters is there, so always we have in our mind that these will be something with the bad consequences, right? So in an easy way, we got so many definitions for the disaster, but I got this is one of the most easiest one, and we can see the definition that it's a huge loss to the life, to the property, and to the environment. And now if we can see into the disaster side, so we have basically we have many kinds of disasters. So we have classified it into two types, the main two types. So the natural disasters. So the natural disasters are those disasters that is caused by the natural factor. Okay, if we can see in surrounding like the earthquake, the flood, the cyclone, the tsunamis. So these are the disasters that is in the nature side. Like, I mean, it's very hard for us to control these events. So the best thing is for us to prepare ourselves. So natural disasters, of course, the nature is involved in that thing. But when it comes to the man-made disaster, so the man-made disasters are those disasters that is caused due to the human growth, to the human activities, like you can say the war, the accident, the industrial accident, and there are so many things. Keep in mind that man-made disasters are those disasters that could be accidental and it could be intentional as well. So accidental because if you have seen so many things, like if we talk about Bhopal gas strategy in India, if we go to the Ukraine, you know, Chernobyl, and there are so many things. So some things are there which could be accidental, and some are there which could be intentional. So these are the disasters which we can see in our surrounding. Disaster, you can see it's quite easy. There are things you can easily get from this slide. The natural disaster, there are so many examples with the earthquake, the cyclone, tsunamis, the volcanic eruptions, the flood.
Shazad, can you check your hands free, please?
Okay. Is it fine now? Mr. Asif, is it okay now? Is it fine?
You know, I think your microphone might be a bit of interference.
بعمل جوين باسم سعيد كس
We can see your desktop, but we can't hear you at the moment. So I don't know if your microphones maybe. Is it? Yeah. Have you got headphones that are picking up at the moment?
Shahzad, your voice is not clear. We can see your desktop. Could you please work on it in order to make sure that the people try it now, please? No, we can't hear you, Shahzad. Your presentation is obvious, very clear, but unfortunately we can't hear you. No.
Can you try it without your headphones, yes?
No, we can't hear you. We can see the presentation, we can see your face, but there is no voice, even no background voice.
Sorry for the technical.
It's okay, no worries. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so yeah, guys, sorry for that. And these are the disasters type, actually, the natural disaster. We can see so many examples with the earthquake, the cyclone, the tsunamis, the volcanic eruptions, the flood. When it comes to the man-made or the technological disaster, so we have so many were there as well. The road accident, tourism, and many more. Why disaster preparedness is very important. Disaster preparedness is everyone's business. We know that. There are many hazards which threaten our communities. When these hazards actually come into contact with us, so you can see that our lives and the resources, we have to deal with that. So being prepared and knowing what can do reduce fear and anxiety, it's important for us to have a disaster plan in the start. Like many of us have a misconception that I haven't seen disaster in my whole life, so it's not important for me to make a disaster plan, or it's not important for me to go through all those preparations. But is in many organizations I have seen, or in many contexts, in many books I have seen, it is really important for everyone, for each and every family should create a disaster plan. Now, you might have seen in your surrounding that if you do have a disaster plan or not, but I will suggest you guys that it's quite an easy way to make a disaster plan, to call out your children, your friends, your neighbors. Neighbors is very important in all those things. So just make a small scenario that what we can do, let's say if there is a power outage, let's say if there's a strong wind, if there's an earthquake, how we can respond or how we can help each other. So disaster preparedness is indeed very important thing. And I think every family should create a disaster plan. The things which we can keep in the disaster plan, I think it's in our next few slides. Now, this is the disaster cycle, okay? And it is one of the most important things which we need to know, how we can prepare ourselves for the disaster. You can see over there, mitigation. Mitigation, when we talk about mitigation, it is something with our preparedness and our planning, okay? So preventing future emergency or minimizing their effect. So with mitigation, we talk about so many things. We talk about our food, we talk about our stock, we talk about our communication, we talk about our authority, and we talk about our hard question, which we have to answer to the communities as well. So mitigation basically aims to prevent the future emergency, or you can say it is something we do before any unfavorable condition or before any incident or accident. So it includes any activities that prevent an emergency, reduce the chances of an emergency happening, or reduce the damaging effects of unavoidable emergency. Buying a flood and fire insurance for your home is one of the mitigation activity. Mitigation activity, it takes place before and even it can be after the emergency. So when we talk about the mitigation, mitigation and preparedness come actually together, okay? And it is something which we think before any accident, before any emergencies. Okay, so it includes all those things as I discussed. That we talk about our communication, which, like for example, if something bad happened, with whom we have to communicate. Let's say if there's a disaster happening on, who are the concerned authorities with whom we have to talk, okay? And let's say if we don't have anything like to eat or to food, to whom we have to contact, or how much we can store, or where we have to keep it, or to whom we have to contact it. So these are the preparedness, preparing to handle an emergency. Basically, the main aim of these things are to save the lives. To save the lives and to help and respond to rescue operations. So we have to start from the mitigation, and we have to make a pin, we have to make a chart, and we have to start preparing all those things. As I told, like the communication, the authority, the emergency number, like the rescue, there may be the rescue team as well, there may be the medical team as well. So all these things should be the part of our disaster mitigation cycle. Now, number third is response. So response comes immediately after the accident or after the incident or after the disasters. So responding safely to an emergency. Okay. So now let's say with up to the mitigation and the preparedness, number third is response. Let's say, God forbid, if the disaster strike, what should be our response? So these things kick immediately after the phase of the preparedness, and it includes actions taken to save lives and prevent further property damage in an emergency situation. In response, response start from ourselves. Let's say if we are in disaster, first is our self-rescue. The first thing is our self-rescue, and secondly, depending on our talent, depending on quality, depending on how much we are trained, we do help each other as well. Now, at that time, if we think that we need, let's say, if we need an emergency or the medical team, how we can respond. So we have to do that. And let's say if something is going on in your neighborhood and you have the quality, let's say a person is there and he's getting unconscious and he got some fracture, and you know that you are trained to do that. So that's how we have to do that. Like, that is something which is quite common. For example, if I'm going to call a medical team or an emergency and ambulance services, it will take some certain time. So the thing is, if you have some skills and you know that how to respond to the situation, to the emergency, so that is something which is very important. And response activities take place during an emergency. It is after the disaster and it is in the during emergency, like it's on the duration of the emergency. And number four is the recovery. If we got a good response, and if we got a good response, so the good response lead to the good recovery from the emergency. It includes actions taken to return to a normal or even a safer situation following an emergency. So recovery include getting financial assistance to help pay for the repairs. Recovery activities take place after the emergency. So everyone should have this thing in the mind before any disaster, okay? So we can call it the disaster cycle. Mitigation, we will start from the mitigation, okay? And then it comes to preparedness, okay? We will sit together and we will prepare all the planning. It includes risk assessments, okay? Because risk assessment is something which will tell us about the hazard and the risk of that concerned area. Risk assessments, the plannings are there, communication, the authorities, the medical team, the food and the stock, the clothes, the batteries, all those things which we need in the time of emergency or in the disaster, it will be the part of mitigation and the preparedness. Number third, in mitigation plan, we can easily write about the response, like who will be the responder, who will be the concerned people that they have to respond. If it is in the community, if it is in the organization, if it is in the, let's say, in that proper area. So we have to make the concerned team and all those things. For the response, it is not necessarily that we must have to call the people from the concerned authority. It could be something from our side as well. For example, like performing CPR, okay? Evacuating people from the, you can say from the danger zone. It could be in the form of a fire loss or something like that, how to help the people with disabilities. So all those things can be the form of our response. And recovery, indeed, our recovery depends on our disaster cycle. If we are able to succeed in good mitigation and preparedness, and if we have a good response, then of course, for sure, we will be having a good recovery by end of that emergency. Now, I have taken some few examples of the disaster, as we know that it is such a huge topic. It's such a long topic. We can't keep all those content in the slide because of the time duration as well. But yeah, the most important one, earthquake. I'm sure many of you, earthquake and tremors, many of you have experienced this in life, even if it is a small one, if it is a big one. But it is something, it is sudden, rapid shaking of the ground caused by the shifting of the rocks deep underneath of the surfaces. And earthquakes itself is a big disaster, but along with the same time, it can cause fire, tsunamis, landslide, and you can say the volcanoes, etc. as well. The major threat when it comes to the earthquake, there are major things we encounter during the earthquake. And indeed, why I have kept this earthquake in the disaster preparedness, because it is something, if you will not take care of it, believe me, it can give a so bad result. So the best time to prepare for any disaster is before it happens. So the major threat of the earthquake is, of course, the injury, the falling object, the debris, and many injuries. As we know that it is something like an emergency. And of course, everyone get panicked. For example, if there's an earthquake, you're in a building, or let's say you're in office. You're leaving out your office because you see there are tremors, you see up and down. So of course, most of the thing happens while you're leaving, while you're running toward the assembly points. So these things happens as well. Now, earthquake, everyone should know during the earthquake, like earthquakes strike without warning. Okay, like there is no proper warning that yes, there will be an earthquake. It is something which is sudden, that is out of the human control. So earthquakes strike mostly without warning. Their effects will vary from building to building. Fire alarm or sprinkler system may be activated by the shaking, okay? Elevators and stairways may be damaged. And I think everyone is quite aware of all those things, that in the time of emergency, we are not allowed to use the elevators. It's better to use the stairway, but please, you have to use your senses as well. If it is easy for you to evacuate the building, then yes, you can do that. If you think that no, it is getting high or the situation is getting worse, then it is very important for you to stay in that concerned places. I think that is on our next page. So the earthquake, of course, we are some information, so you have to know it. Now, in case you are in building, there's a small picture there, if you are able to see it, so still it is very important. Staying under a door frame, a couch, under a solid table. Okay, you can see from the small image right there, it is not necessarily to leave that concerned area. No, you have to protect your head. Head is one of the most important, you can say the brain is over there, one of the most delicate organs of the human body. So the most important thing is the protection of our head. Please make sure stay under a door frame or couch under a solid table. Stay away from the window, glass, and shell, as well as anything that might fall from. And be careful of the gas leakage. And please, you don't have to light the candle, matches, or any other sources, because why? It can lead into any other disaster. So in case if you're a building, so we will try our best to do these things. We have to stand under the door frame or crouch under a solid table. Solid table will mean that at least our head will be protected. In case you're outside, stand away from the trees, okay? It's very obvious, it's very clear. Stay in an open space until the earthquake stops. Stay away from the upper or lower passageways, and stay away from the building and upper walls. So these are the important things. If you have an open space, that is quite fine. But still, you have to take care of all those things. As we said, like we have to stay away from the trees and an open space. Why the trees? We are saying that we have to stand away from it because the trees or any other thing, it can fall on us, okay? It can get damage us. And if you are in a car, most of the time, like if you are driving a car and there is earthquake outside, so no one understands what is going on, but stop as you safely can. Because the environment can give you the idea. Let's say if you're on the road, you're driving a car, or if you have the public in the surrounding, with your reaction, you can sense what is going on. But it's important to stop as soon as you safely can, and stay away from the tunnels and the bridges, and do not get out of there. Like for example, the tunnel and the bridges. We know there is an earthquake. Anytime, any moment, anything can happen. So the best thing is we have to stay away from all those things. In all cases, we do agree that we are human beings and we do get panic. But the most important thing is any emergency. The best thing is try to remain calm. Do not panic and try to help those around you. Try to help those around you is a question here. Like it means if you can do someone's help, then yes, go for that. But if you think that help, I can't do that, that is not in my scope, or even I can make the person more worsen, so the best thing is calling the national emergency number. If we are living here in the UAE, so we know that the emergency number, and I think most part of the world, they have the same emergency number, 999, to reduce pressure on the line. But we have to make sure if you have someone in your surrounding, they're going to call 999. You know that the people are still calling that number. So it's best to avoid it because they know that is the thing that happened and they can reach toward you, because we have to reduce the pressure on the lines as well. Listen to the radio and the TV to follow up on the latest news and development. It depends on the comments. And let's say if you are outside, okay, you're able to tune the radio, then yes, you can tune that. Because why? You can get the latest news and the development. So in the earthquake, what we got to know, we knew that it's one of the most, you can say, a big disaster if it is not planned properly. But let's say if it is happening, you're in the building, you have to protect, you have to stop, you have to drop, okay, and you have to protect your head. Okay, if you're outside, please make sure you stay away from the tree, from the electric poles and all those regions. And even if you are in car, you have to stop the car. You have to keep yourself away from those tunnels and bridges. And in all cases, for all those things, what we have to do, we have to remain calm and do not panic. Please make sure if you can do someone help at that time, please do that. But if you think that you can put yourself in danger, then it is better not to help them. Because why? With the same time, you will also injure yourself or hurt yourself. Along with them, they will be also in trouble. So drop yourself, cover yourself, and please make sure, hold on, okay? So these are the things what you have to do. This is kind of a small management in the time of earthquake. And after the recovery, there's aftermath of each and everything, okay? So now, after the accident occur, or let's say after the disaster happened, the earthquake, what you can do maximum. Search for the injured. And how we will be able to search for the injured. That's why we discussed a bit earlier that mitigation plan. In mitigation plan, we are able to recognize the number of the people we have in the home, in the offices, in the organization. As if you can see that there are so many drill we do there, let's say a fire mock drill. So by end of the fire mock drill, it is the duty of the emergency response team leader to count the people, to do the head count at how many people are saved. And let's say if there is a missing number, then they have to search those people, that where are they, what was their last scene and their last location. But normally in the earthquake, it is also very important for us, search for the injured. Injured could be, God forbid, it could be any one of you. But the thing for that is that you need to know how many numbers were there. Search for the injured, help them out and give them first aid. First aid, of course, if you are trying to do so, then give them first aid. If you know that how you can help them, then do the help. If you are unable to help them, please make sure search for the surrounding, and by laws, we have the only one option, to call the medical team and just to wait for their arrival. Search for the missing and check on your family and friends. The same thing. Do not walk around barefoot. Okay. There could be so many things. There could be glasses. There could be nails. There could be some other chemicals which can affect you, which can injure you. So the best thing is we have to avoid these things. Most importantly, watch out for the gas, water, and sewage leakage and report them. Very important. That's why we need to have torch in any emergency. Why torch is very important? Let's say if there's a gas leakage in any of the building, and after the earthquake, you're going to find someone. You're going to at the lighter or something like that. Believe me, if there is the accumulation of some gases, there could be the chances of fire. So the best thing is to have the torch. Check for the broken wires and plug electrical appliances from the power sources. Clean up any toxic leaks. Please make sure if you have the things, so go for the cleaning. Listen to the local news and follow the instruction. The local news is very important because you will get the update of all those concerned disaster, and you will be giving a proper information that what you have to do next. If we talk about the UAE, so many of you maybe they are aware of it or not, but we have the department here, we call it NCEMA, that is the National Crisis and Emergency Management Authority. So if you got a time and if you would like to see about the concerned regions disasters, or let's say there are the chances geographically that these disasters can happen, that you can get a proper information on the site. Again, I'm going to repeat that. It is NCEMA, the National Crisis and Emergency Management Authority. And you will get to know about so many things like the flood, the earthquake, the tsunami, the accidents, so many things are there, and you can get the information. So that is something for the earthquake, okay? I kept the earthquake at the first because in many of the South Asian nations, let's say in the Gulf, we don't experience it so much, but as the majority of South Asians are living here in the UAE, so they must have a little bit in their life about the earthquake. And if we talk about the Pakistan in 2005, there was a huge earthquake, and the number was so much there. But the government felt that if we would be having a good mitigation and all those plans, then maybe the number would be not that much. So that's why we learn after the accident. We learn when something happened, and that's why IOSH and the management, we are taking responsibility to do something which can benefit the human being, the human lives. So that was the earthquake. Let's come to the sandstorm. In the UAE, or mostly in the Gulf region, we can encounter this kind of thing, the disaster. You can see a small picture over there, and it is just a glimpse of the sandstorm. But a sandstorm is a particle of sand carried by the strong wind. That most you can find to the lowest 10 pin, it could be raised up to the 50 feet above the ground. And also studies show that sand in the storm negatively impact our agriculture, the human lives, the industry, the transport, and of course, the water and the air quality. If there's a sandstorm, the first thing is we are not able to see the things. And we got one figure that many people, like there were 334 million people affected around the world because of the sand and the dust storm. So yesterday, even here in Abu Dhabi, and even today, they were having a guidelines, sorry, to take care of the sane and storm because the huge winds are going on, and most of the organization they stop the work up to 3 o'clock. So these things are happening around the globe. Sorry. Now the awareness message prior to the sandstorm. It's prior to the sandstorm. I mean, what we can do, it's part of the mitigation. Listen and watch the weather forecast, official media and social media website. As I told you, if you would like to hear about the local emergency websites or the local news channel or the radios or the TV, it's better to tune that. If you have the time, if you know about it, so it's better to tune it and you can get the proper information. Make sure you close all the windows firmly and support them using wooden set. If you're in a home, you're in an organization, there may be the consent team and responsible team that they will take care of all those things. Fixed things such as metal sheet, TV antennas, and other volatile material. It's very obvious, it's very common, the metal sheet, TV antennas, and other volatile material because of the falling, falling object, falling materials are there. So it's better to fix it. Or it's better to to protect ourselves from those things. If you are reachable to, let's say, TV antenna or the metal sheet, better to call some people to remove that or to fix that. Make sure the tools exist in the house or are secured. It's not only about the house, it could be anything, it could be any place. And if you're talking about the children, so please make sure in such kind of situation, with good mitigation plan, it must be there that we are not allowed to the children should not play outside the house. And about the vehicles, your car and all those things, please make sure it is parked in a safe place to avoid any damages. And if you're outside, it's very important. If you're outside, it's not like an earthquake that you are much safe. If you are outside, it means you're much exposed to it. So try to find a safe place. Please take caution and care during the changes of rain. And do not carry out any activity outside the house and postpone your works. Of course, if we know that something bad is happening we got it on the news channel, we got it on the radio, that we are about to having a sandstorm, the weather forecast was saying that. So it's not a big deal, we can cancel our planning. So the best thing is try to keep yourself confined to the house, to the home where you guys are living. And if you're outside, then yes, that's a bad luck. You have to find a safe place. And now it's come response during the sandstorm. Weather changes, listen and watch weather forecast. I think it is possible only if you're in the home or even if you're outside in the car. So the best thing is why we need to concern, why we need to see these things, because we can get the right and accurate information that what we can do, or they're gonna tell you what you have to do next. Reduce the frequency of going out from the house. It's very clear. We do not allow children with respiratory, asthma, and allergic disease, because with the dust, they can be having a great, you can say, they can expose to such problem, the asthma. Because it is so dry that the respiratory tract can be in trouble. They will not be able to inhale properly. So the best thing is better to keep water and all those things with yourself, and along with that, if you have medication, it is very important in the time of sandstorm, or it should be the part of mitigation. So if something is happening please make sure you can help them how much you can. Stay away from the stay away from the glass, windows and door, and abide by instruction and direction given by the security authority. So that is very important during the sandstorm. What we got from here, sandstorm, the most important thing is to watch the weather forecast. Okay, we are not allowed to leave our children outside the house. It's better to not travel. Okay, and it's better if you have someone, let's say if you have someone with the cardiac issues, if you have someone with respiratory issues, please make sure the medication should be there, because asthma is quite much, you can say, it's really disturbing with the dust. And after the sandstorm, okay, it's a kind of a summary for the sandstorm. Let's have a look. If you are inside a house, please carry out the following procedure. Okay, listen and watch with the podcast. Do not leave the house, quite clear. If you were outside the house, please take caution and care during changes occurring on the road due to the weather. While driving your vehicle, please carry out the following procedure. Please take caution and care and watch the weather changes. Do not drive so fast because, yeah, of course, sandstorm is something. The first thing is we don't have to drive. And let's say if you are driving, your home is almost nearby. The most important thing is to concentrate properly on the road, and it should be low. It should be not in that much huge speed, because why? It can lead us to any other different or bad condition. So the best thing for the sandstorm is we have to follow all those things. Of course, the disaster cycle then come there. So it should be the part of our disaster cycle. So what we can do before, during, and operate. Okay, so we got tsunami. Okay, I'm sure that you guys have heard the name tsunami. Okay, when we were in school times, it was quite a new thing for us that what was tsunami. But once we got to know about it, it was really quite shocking. So tsunami is a series of high, you can say, powerful and rapid waves that in the form of sea. And as we discussed a bit earlier, that a huge earthquake can also lead towards tsunamis. And you can see that speed, it could be 800 kilometers per hour. So imagine 800 kilometers per hour. And if there is an earthquake, let's say in the sea, the height could be up to 30 meters. So believe me, if the people who are living near with the sea shores and all those regions, they will be highly affected by the tsunamis. And I think each and every country has their own guidelines, and they are properly instructing their own communities, their own people, especially those who are living near with the sea, okay? That these are the months, these are the region, you have to take care. First of all, they are letting them to go to the safe places. There are the chances they can leave their places, those places, it is much more good and enough. But if not, then yes, they have to take proper precautions. And if we talk about here, like sometimes we go to the beaches and all those things, like we are doing some picnic kind of thing, but in kind of bad weather forecast, no one is allowed to the sea. It doesn't mean that tsunami is really happening, but the thing is, no, it is important. Sudden withdrawal of the sea, do not just stand there, verify the warning sign that should be heeded. In case you are at the beach or next to the sea or feel a tremor beneath you, it's important. We have to head to move or to the elevated area, or better to leave their places. Do not wait for a tsunami warning to be announced. It does not mean that a tsunami warning should be there and after that you will leave the house or you will leave that area. No. That's why it is important to have a proper identification from so many things, to have the proper information from so many channels, the news and the media. And that could be a kind of help for us. So do not close to the shore or check if it is tsunami. Please get away immediately. In case evacuation instruction are issued, execute them at once. So that is something related to the tsunamis. Okay. Head quickly to an elevated area. Do not stay in the house or building located in a low coastal area because of tsunami warning, because they're not safe. And if you do not have time to head to the inner lane to an elevated area, go to the protected building. You know, with tsunami is not something like, for example, if you will hear about it, or if you will hear about the alarm or the warning sign, at that time you will start preparing. No, mitigation endorses this thing very much because they think that tsunami is part of us. Like, it depends on the region as well, but tsunami is one of the hot topic in mitigation because why? The plannings, the risk assessment, these are very important for it. And it is something which we can't control it. It's not like an earthquake. It's not like you can say, it's not like any other disaster. So it is something which is very huge. And that is why we have to elevate ourselves. We have to head toward some of the safe zones. So that could be the end of an emergency, right? We can protect ourselves up to the big, you can say, up to great level. Fire safety. Okay. Now, when it comes to the health and safety, okay, so we keep this topic in the very top because fire safety is something which is very important, but a huge fire can lead into a huge disaster. Okay. So I think the fire safety, it is something, or even if it is an earthquake or any other disaster, these things should, we should teach this to our children. We should teach, I think it should be in the part of the school curriculum. Yeah, it should be part of the institution level as well, because how much we will let them introduce from the very beginning, then they can combat these things very safely. Like it is not necessarily, it should be in the health and safety construction or an oil and gas sector. No, these are something we should teach them from the very beginning. And every child should be taught that matches and lighters are tools, not toys. Okay. And this is some small picture you can see in the front of it. I'm not going to define the chemistry of the fire. I'm sure everyone is aware of it. And we can see here, let's say we are talking directly on what we can do. If you catch fire, so stop, drop, and roll. Okay. Stop, drop, and roll is something which we can do if we catches a fire. Don't you have to think much? You have to stop and take movement. You have to drop yourself. Why you have to stop? Because the reason is, if you will run toward any other place, or if you will run, there is an oxygen. The more oxygen is adding to your body, there are the huge chances that it will get increased, because we know that oxygen is one of the continent toward the fire triangle. If we will run, oxygen gonna be added to your body, and that's how it will be more and more. So the best thing is stop, don't think much, drop yourself, and if you can, please make sure the place or the ground where you guys are dropping yourself, it should be free from any other obstruction, from any other hazardous material, so you can roll your body. And that's how you can extinguish it up to some good extent. Okay, if fire breaks out. So for the fire, we know that it's part of the risk assessment. In other words, we call it mitigation plan or preparedness plan or the disaster cycle. Each and every organization, each and every community, they have a proper planning in case of fire emergency. So the first thing is you need to have a team, you need to have the people in your surrounding, and you need to train them. Because why? It is very important for us to extinguish the fire if it just breaks out. The more we will spend the time, the more it will be a disaster, and it will increase, it will be out of our human control. So it is important for us to train the people so how they can extinguish the fire. We can let them educate about the fire safety training, okay? And they will be able to identify the classes of fire. They will be able to identify the types of fire extinguisher. And that's how they can use that. Try to extinguish fire if you are trained and if you think you can do it, okay? Remain calm, plan the escape routes, get everyone out of the house. It could be house, it could be organization, it could be any other place where the fire is going to happen, okay? So it depends on your working activity. If you're in an organization, you must have a health and safety team, or you must be having an emergency team so they know how they can help. We have to follow the signs, okay? We have to follow the sign, that is very important. Individual attempts at firefighting should not be attempted unless there is no risk to yourself. As I said, if we think we can control something, if we think we can fight a fire, we have to do it. If it is something getting severe, then please make sure, do not put yourself in danger. You have to keep yourself away from that region. Keep the door of the room in which the fire is believed to have started shut, okay? It's fine, very easy. You have to shut the door if you think you have any other way to go out, so better. Keep doors and windows closed. This reduces the supply of air to the fire. There are so many fires over there, but I will just tell you in a very easy way. The best thing is you need to have a proper emergency team. There must be a fire warden you can call sometime. There must be an emergency leader. His role is to evacuate the people toward the assembly of fire. And I think we should teach our children as well. And along with that, we should also teach the ladies in our houses as well. Like, for example, if they are in the kitchen, they're doing some cooking kind of stuff, we have to teach them that how you will be able to, or how you will be able to use a fire extinguisher, or what kind of fire extinguisher you can use on the kitchen fire. Let's say if there's fire from the cooking oil or from the cooking media, what kind of fire extinguisher you need to use. And let's say if there are your kids, you can teach them what is the emergency number for calling a fire brigade. Okay, and at the same time you can make you can also you can also let them show about the fire extinguisher. By kid I don't mean that they will be like 2 or 3 years. They could be like 10 to 12 years old, if they are able to train, okay, and they are knowing the situation, that how we can do it in farm situation, then yes, they can use those things. So if fire breaks out, so we have to take care of all those things. We don't have to use the elevator, we have to use the stair. Everyone should be aware of their assembly point. Everyone should know how to use the fire blanket. Everyone should know who will be the part of our emergency team, or whom we have to follow that. Never use oil, gasoline, kerosene, or paraffin to light or start fire. Never put any hot ashes in container with other garbages or in the flammable container. We don't have to do these things. To put out a paid grease fire, cover area with the wet cloth is saner. Do not use water, because we have a misconception, and a lot of people have in mind that if there is a fire, we can use water and water can extinguish it completely, but it is completely wrong until and unless you're not aware of it. So the fire education is very important before the fire breaks out. Now it's lightning. So lightning is a dazzling light that suddenly is appeared in the skies in turbulent weather. It's a massive natural electrical discharge resulting from the collision between two clouds. We have heard the name thunder, okay? So together lightning is from a thunderbolt. It's usually harmless, but yeah, we still have to take care, okay? Okay, when a thunderstorm is brewing in the area, of course, if it's a huge rain or huge wind, stuff like that. In case you're at home, avoid taking shower, because the fire plants in bathroom installation may, you can say, it conduct electricity. Yeah. So if something is conductor and we know that it can take some charges, electrical charges, so it's better to avoid those things. Avoid using telephone with the cord except in case of emergency. Unplug electrical devices, okay, and turn off the air conditioner. All those things which is related to the electrical or the power, the sources, it's better to keep that silent. It's better to shut those things, because why? In thunderstorm, they are highly exposed to it, because why? The lightning, that is power, and these we have so many good conductor in our surrounding, and that could be in the palm of, that leads to bad accident. And what we don't have to do, when thunder roars, do not use the phone and electrical devices and equipment. Staying under high tree is something which we have to avoid it. There's some natural or scientific phenomena over there, but trees are highly, you can say, likely to get hit by the thunders. And if you have seen some videos on the YouTube or from so many, I have seen so many videos. So when these thunder strike, people are hiding under the trees. Believe me, it's such a huge disaster, and it doesn't take long for them to get die. I mean, it's like a big accident, and they get die as soon as possible. Touch metallic object, we don't have to touch metallic. That's their conductor. Get close to the metal fences. As I say, something which is linked to the electricity or something like the conductor, the steel, the good conductor. We have to stay away from those things, because why? Otherwise, it can be highly. Now, something which we discussed from the, you can say, from the natural disasters. Okay, some we have the man-made disasters, and we discussed a bit earlier that man-made disasters, it could be accidental, it could be intentional. Okay, terrorism is one of the man-made disasters. Okay. Terrorist attack like the ones we experienced, of course, September 11, 2001. Christchurch Mosque shootings, 15 March 2019. If we go back to Peshawar Public School massacre, December 16, 2014. These were some huge terrorism, huge disaster we saw. And there are so many of that as well. But these things can, so I put it here because why? it was a huge loss to the human lives. So there are things you can do to prepare for terrorist attack and reduce the stress. See, the thing is, it is something which we can't, what we can do better. Because you get panic, of course, it's something, if you know that something is happening bad, what you can do to yourself or to the community over there. Remain calm and be patient. You have to remain calm and be patient. Follow the advice of the local emergency officials, radios, televisions. If the events occurs near you, check for the injuries. God forbid, if there is some bomb blast or any kind of thing, make sure if it is outside and you can go outside, you have to go for that and give first aid. If you're able to identify someone, if you're able to identify the human lives and they're in trouble, we have to call the emergency number. These are something is not likely to happen, but as part of the disaster preparedness, this is very important. Do not light matches or candle, turn electrical switches, shut off any other damage electrically, call your family contact. So how much, these are the maximum things which we can do. The best thing is to remain calm and confined to their concerned places. Do not go outside. You have to keep yourself in their places. And let's talk about robbery. Okay, it's also one of the disasters. Mostly we do encounter these in the movies. Remember, it's not an everyday event. Remain calm. Let the guy have what he wants. Life is more important than money. He is prepared to take the risk and hence will harm. So it's not a movie, okay? When some things are happening, it's not a movie that you're gonna be a big hero and stuff like that. No, the life is very important than money. Something I got a bit interesting in this content. Do not move or behave to the trigger. Do not expose each other. Do not expose your safety procedure. Try to observe clothes, weapons, physical characteristic, height, weight, eyes, hair, mannerism, scars, tattoos. How much you can scan the people who are doing that kind of act, up to how much good level you can scan them, do it. But please make sure do not act wrong or stuff like that, because while your life is in danger. Height is very important. Height, if you are able to see his color, skin color, all those things for the identification to the authorities, because if the authorities are getting involved, so up to good level, they will try to trace the system or the situation. Now, robbery, and now let's come to the big history. Okay, so bomb threat, okay, and the receipt of the bomb threat calls. Now, these are some situation we like we don't see that much, but I found it is like the man-made disaster. Now, if you got a call and he is going to do something very wrong, I mean like a bomb threat, keep the caller on the phone as long as possible and do not hang up. Because why? That's we can see in the next line. Write down the caller ID number and the exact timing, okay? Signal someone to alert the concerned member. If you are going to hear such call, please make sure keep the call on the phone as long as possible. Do not hang up, okay? How much information you can get at that time, like the caller ID number, what is the timing, the time you can see, you can note down the timing as well. If you have someone in the surrounding, please make sure, signal someone to alert the concerned member. Write down everything the caller said. Because why you call, of course, it will get traced by the authority and they will try to get the information from, but you are the one at that time. You can possibly get the pen or something nearby, and please make sure you write down each and everything. Make an educated guess as the caller's sex, age, race, accent. These are something, now it depends how much, how much ready you are. Like it could be accent, okay? It could be age, because from the voice you can easily get the idea if he's a guy, if he's a boy, he's an old age, okay? So these are the important things. If it is possible for you, with the conscious mind, please try to identify the background noises info. Because why? These are certain information, if you will be having, then we can give it to the authority. And of course, they can help us how much they can. So these things are very important, and that's why I kept it in this training. So at least it will give us an idea. Discuss this matter only with the concerned member to avoid the misinformation. Misinformation is something which we really need to take care of. Okay, we have to make sure that the information should be transferred to the concerned authority so they can help us. Okay, so how much information we can get, like the bomb threat, and if we go into the robbery. So as I said, we have to take care of our life. You have how much you can scan the person, how much you can get the information like the physical characteristic. We have to observe his clothing. We don't have to expose the safety procedure, direction of the travel. Let's say if they came out of your place and which way they are going, how much extent you can get the information. Please make sure to take it along with the same time when it comes to the bomb threat or such calls. Because why? These things can lead into disaster. And when we talk about the disaster cycle, so we say that we have to take care of the planning and preparation. So these are something during the kind of an emergency, but yeah, how much we can do, because the main aim of this awareness is basically to save the lives, to save the people, and to give it to the community. Yeah, an easy way, it's a kind of a summary. First thing is we need to know the risk. For those risks, we have to make the plan and we have to get a kit. In part of the mitigation, when it comes to the food, okay, when it comes to all those things, so we try to take all those things. So disaster supply should be there, okay. And we are only like 3 or 4 slides away because I'm taking care of the time as well. So it's almost in the end. So know the risk, know your region, okay. The risks are the examples of the disaster. The plan, you aren't prepared until you make a plan. So we have to properly make a plan, and all those emergency preparedness should be there. You can get the information from the emergency preparedness, the local authority, the government, and that's how you can make a plan. Let's say if you have a family disaster plan, prepare a kit like water, you need to have the first aid kit, you need to have to flashlights, you need to have the battery power radios, food that won't spoil, such as canned food, all those things, it should be the proper your kit. And now, that's why the management is important, because why we chosen this topic, because our aim is to ensure an effective and coordinated response to disaster. And its aim is to reduce the occurrence of disaster. Or in other words, I will say it is something we need to make ourselves ready before the things happen. So yeah, we are almost in the end, and I thank you all for your patience. And there were a bit technological little error, so sorry for that, and I'm sure you guys must have enjoyed the training. So over to you, Mr. Asif.
Thank you very much, Shehzad. A very comprehensive presentation. Due to lack of time, we will take only one question, which is very relevant.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we have one question. Disaster action plan is a mitigation or preparedness step?
It's a preparedness step. Yeah. When it comes to the mitigation, in mitigation, we are talking about the preparations. So with the mitigation, you can include all those things. As I said, like you can include the risk assessments, okay? You can include the communication, you can include the authorities, you can also include answering hard questions to the community. So it includes your food stuff, it includes your clothes, all those things. So mitigation, and we can say that the preparedness and mitigation is something like which is closely relevant, and it includes all those steps.
Thank you very much. Now I will hand over the show to Syed. Syed,
Okay.
the show is yours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for attending and staying with us for a longer time. Thank you very much, Shehzad. Before we go, I would like to request everyone that if anyone is interested to be our speaker, the email address being given already by Mr. Paul. Apart from this, special thanks to the members from UAE, from India, from Pakistan. I have seen people are attending from UK, from Canada, from many countries. If I miss anything, forgive me for that. So it was really interesting to see different people from different states, different countries, and it is obviously fruitful for everyone here. We get knowledge. We are here to share the knowledge. The UAE branch is one of the largest branch, and we are thankful to everyone who supported us. Any idea, any comments, any suggestion, please feel free. This is your own branch, and we all are in struggle to make it possible for everyone and to make it one of the best branch of IOSH. Once again, thank you very much to everyone, and winding up, bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. On screen is a QR code for the survey that someone asked for. So if anyone wants to just point your camera at that, you can then complete the survey, but we will send that by email as well. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much.
No, thanks for all your help, guys.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks. See you all again. Take care.
See you, Mr. Fall. Thank you. Goodbye.